Hi folks, this is Project Darkwolf, and you're about to hear from Rigg of the Slovak Wildlife Society about wolf conservation in Slovakia and how you can volunteer with the Carpathian Wolf Watch to help monitor and track wolves in the wild. We'll start off with then, just outlining what Carpathian Wolf Watch is and what it's about.
Yeah, so Carpathian Wolf Watch is an independent project monitoring wolves in the northern part of Slovakia. Originated in 2010, and the background to it was that there were major disagreements between the hunting community on the one hand and environmentalists on the other. So basically hunters were saying there were lots of wolves causing damage and that they needed to be controlled, whereas on the other hand the environmentalists were saying that the level of hunting by people on wolves was too high and that they were driving down numbers of animals. But there was a real lack of reliable, credible data to say which of those positions was correct. So the main aim of the project was to get some better estimates of wolf numbers and trends in the population.
So when did this all begin then? When was it started up?
Well, the origins of it, we can say, go back to 2005. We had a first kind of preliminary project trying to map wolf packs across Slovakia, but that was relying on information from local experts, so trying to compile observations from people who had a good familiarity with particular mountain ranges, and then putting that together into a first rough map. But we realized from that that was still rather subjective, and we couldn't get the whole country covered as well as we wanted, so it was clear we were going to have to do our own fieldwork to get a better picture. So we launched the Carpathian Wolf Watch project properly, if you like, or in its full extent in 2010, and we've been continuing every year since then.
Well, it's pretty easily into the next question then. So what kind of work have you been doing up to this day?
Yeah, we use three main methods. So the kind of traditional method of studying wolves in a lot of the world is based on snow tracking. But with climate change into the future, that may become more and more tricky. We've certainly noticed winters now are less reliably snow-covered, even in Carpathian Mountains, than they used to be. But that's still a sort of good basis. And then we add to that collecting samples for genetic analysis, which is one of the really most useful methods that we can use. From that, we can reliably distinguish between different individuals and different packs and see family relations between individuals. Also check for things like possible hybridization with dogs, which is a problem in several parts of Europe. See what the level of genetic diversity is, if there are any issues of inbreeding, and so on. And also to produce robust, reliable estimates of the population. And then the third method that we use are trail cameras. Wolves in our part of the world, and actually a lot of Europe, are very difficult to see, at least regularly. So we really just get occasional glimpses of the wolves. It's sort of an added bonus. It's not one of our main methods to see them directly because they're pretty wary and elusive, and our study area is largely forested, so it's difficult to see them. But trail cameras can be left out in the field, work continuously, and they take pictures of whatever moves in front of them. So that's a nice method to have as well.
And that's what's really happening at the moment today, isn't it? That's what the people that you're having out in the field are getting involved with.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's really come through strongly since we've been doing this work. Really, certainly going back to 2010, camera traps in Slovakia were a relatively new thing, not very common, and we we hadn't used them much. But yeah, as the project's gone on, we've used them more and more. So that's one of the things that volunteers do when they come out to help us. Yeah.
Okay, well, the people that watch this video are going to be interested in who you have involved in the field work.
Yeah, so we have a core team of a small number of people. What we don't have is very much funding, or at least we don't have any grant funding so far, or any institutes funding us, so we can't have paid staff. We do have a core team. Everybody except me basically has other jobs, so they're contributing their free time as and when they can. But the key period for us is the winter time, particularly January and February. That's when there's most likely to be snow for snow tracking. Also at sub-zero temperatures, samples for genetic analysis are better preserved, and they degenerate less quickly in cold conditions. Also, if you're following tracks of wolves in the snow, it's easier to find samples than if you're just searching in the leaf litter in the forest.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a key period of the year for a couple of other reasons. So wolf breeding season is in January, February. So if we're doing our field work, then we can get some indications of which packs have breeding animals. And also because the population in Slovakia is still subject to hunting, so there's the hunting season from 1st of November until the 15th of January. So we're aiming to get an estimate of the status of the population after that's finished.
Yeah. So that's really white wilderness covered there, the work that you're doing that, but you also have green wilderness in the summer months.
Yeah, well, this year for the first time, yes, we added a program called Green Wilderness. That's less about volunteering than it's more of a wildlife holiday, let's say. So again, some of us in the core team, we sort of act as guides and take people out with the aim of seeing wildlife. So in that one, we're not necessarily expecting people to do any voluntary work. It's just to go along, see some animals. But the money that they pay for that all goes towards helping for the genetic analysis.
Straight to funding the research.
Yeah.
So, for people who are watching this and thinking maybe they want to get involved with it, maybe they want to have a look at what's required of them, what they can expect from it, where do they need to go to do that?
Well, we have a website, slovakwildlife.org,
Yeah.
Slovak Wildlife written all together, no spaces.
With any luck, that'll be on the screen while we're speaking.
Okay. We are on Facebook as well. We have actually two Facebook pages. One is Slovak Wildlife Society, and the other one is Carpathian Wolf Watch. So people should be able to find those, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last question I've got here then is, what can you see as the long-term goals for the Wolf Watch?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's about helping to ensure the survival of wolves in human-dominated landscapes in the long term. Slovakia is really in the heart of Europe, though we're based in a mountain area. There's a lot of human activity there. There's forestry and hunting even within the national parks, and then on the edges of the parks there are villages, some towns. The transport network is developing quite rapidly, so the volume of traffic and the size of roads is increasing, so that there's potential there for different sections of habitat to become increasingly fragmented. So there's various challenges that are faced by wolves, and as I mentioned, they are hunted as well. Some communities view them as a problematic species, so that would be particularly livestock farmers concerned of wolves and other predators killing their stock. So our project is really about this. In the first instance, in trying to work out a better estimate of the population. From that, working out what would be a maximum sustainable level of hunting and then ensuring that whatever hunting is allowed is within that. So we have now achieved that. And then in the longer term, it would be nice to see the quota continue to come down.
Yeah.
We've not done sort of very aggressive type campaigning for that. I think with wolves, because different people have different views, sometimes you need to be a little bit careful with that. Give the farmers time to adjust to a new situation, to see that, well, okay, if they use some protection measures like electric fences or guarding dogs, that is an alternative to how to protect their stock rather than the sort of traditional killing the predators, basically.
Possibly more effective.
And it's quite possibly more effective, yeah, but I think people need to have some time to, to get their heads around that, to make the adjustment and not feel like they're being forced to do something against their